right, well, welcome back to this conclusion of our study for the week. We've been looking at Proverbs 9, 1 through 12. And we saw how wisdom built this house. She slaughtered her beasts. She mixed the wine. Everything's set for this party. She sends out her servants, her young women, to go out and proclaim the truth that this banquet's set, that all who are simple can come on in and celebrate. She says, "Come and eat, drink the wine I've made. It's all for you. Leave behind the simple ways. Live and walk in the ways of insight." And so she has the people come in. You want to be wise? Come on in. Wisdom is ready. Wisdom is partying. Wisdom is ready for you. But if you're a scoffer, well, all you do is give people abuse. All you're doing is giving other people injuries. All you're doing is hating. That's it. You reprove a wise man, though, you're going to get some good stuff. He's going to love you. He's like, yes, thank you very much. But if you reprove a scoffer, they're going to be like, nah, I hate you, shut up. But give instruction to a wise man, and he will be wiser. So if you go out and you're shouting out, and the young women are going out there shouting, and the wise people hear, they're like, yes, I'm going. The scoffers will be like, shut your mouths, go away. And so that's what happens. So those who have the fear of the Lord, that's the beginning of wisdom. And the knowledge of the Holy One is insight. And so those who have those are on the right path. And it says, "For by me your days will be multiplied, and your years will be added to your life. If you are wise, you're wise for yourself. You're going to be helped out. You're going to get some good stuff. It'll help you. Doesn't help wisdom, doesn't help God, but it will help you if you're wise. God doesn't gain because you did that. God's not a benefit of your wisdom. You're the benefit of wisdom. And if you're going to scoff, well, guess what? You're going to bear it on your own. You're going to have to bear that. You're going to have to take that on yourself. The punishment of being a scoffer. That will be all for you to take. So that's the scary part. Now, let's do some concluding ideas here, because we need to apply this to ourselves and not just be hearers, but we want to be doers of the word. So number one, seek to gain wisdom by first starting with the fear of the Lord. Again, we have to go back to this idea. We've been through this from the beginning, through the middle of this section of Proverbs, and now we're at the end of this section. Same idea. Seek to fear the Lord. You got to fear the Lord. That's the beginning, right? The beginning of wisdom. We come back, beginning of knowledge, beginning of insight, the beginning of wisdom. All of it begins with fearing the Lord. If you do not fear the Lord, which means you know who he is, you are have a reverential awe and respect for God. You knowing him obviously would lead to that if you're actually fearing him. And then you have to trust him. You have the fear of the Lord means that you are fully trusting him, not in yourself, not in your own insight, wisdom, or understanding, but you're truly fearing him and saying, yes, your wisdom is higher than mine, whatever my wisdom is, which is foolishness, my own wisdom. And so I need to do it. If I'm wise in the Lord, then I will be truly wise. It's for me. It's a gain. But if I'm going to be a scoffer, then I'm bearing it myself. So I need to seek to gain wisdom. If I don't know the fear of the Lord, I need to get that first. I need to fix myself on that and say, Lord, teach me to fear you. Teach me what it means to have fear of you. Because there's the fear of man also, which we all come into this world doing that. That's not helpful. We need the fear of the Lord. And so we need to ask God to help us to do that. And even as a wise person will say, God, I need more of your fear of you. I need to fear you more. I need to trust you more. I need to love you more. I need all these things more. That's what a wise person would say. A foolish scoffer says, I don't need God. Or God, where are you? Well, he's always been in the same place. Where did you go? So that's the first idea, right? Fear the Lord. Start there. Now, number two, seek to be wise unto eternity and salvation. Without this, all of their wisdom will be lost. That's the first part, right? Fear of the Lord, and then seek to be wise unto eternity. Seek the wisdom of salvation. That's where you need to go next, right? That's the second part. I need to know more about eternity. I need to know more about salvation. I need to lay down that foundation. How am I saved? If I am saved, how was I saved? How is a person saved? Lay that down, right? Figure that out. Go to Romans chapter 9. Read Romans. Paul lays it all out there. How does a person get saved? He'll tell you. He tells you all over the place. But, check out the book of Romans. That has a lot to do with how humanity has been saved, and who's not saved, and why they're not saved. It's got all that in there. And so without the seeking, all of the wisdom is lost. If you don't have the fear of the Lord, if you're not seeking the wisdom that leads into eternity and salvation, then doing these other things, like not sparing the rod to your children, well, that's good. Regardless, that's wisdom. But, you can do that and still go to hell. So you need to start with the beginning of it. Fear the Lord, please. Seek eternity, seek wisdom and salvation. Seek that wisdom first. Now, third thing is be wise and seek the Father now. Right? Be like the prodigal son. The prodigal son was the fool in the proverb, right? Complete fool. Prodigal means wasteful. So he completely wasted everything that the father had given to him. And he was full of foolishness. But he liked the prodigal son, though, and leave the foolishness of that pig pen that he was in and run to the arms of the Father. That's what you need to do. That's wisdom. Wisdom says, wait a minute, I'm in this stinking, waddling pig pen. And I'm just hoping that I can eat the pig food. But I can't. I'm starving to death here. Foolishness would remain in there. A fool, a scoffer, a simple person would just stay in the mud, right? Stay in the filth. Like, I don't know, I can't do that. I can't go back to the Father. But the Bible says in the prodigal son parable that Jesus tells us that the son finally came to his senses. And that says he came back. He repented. And that's the idea there. And so he leaves that and runs back and says, even if I have to be a servant in your house, I'd rather be that than be away from you, to be somewhere else. And that's the right answer. That's wisdom. That is wisdom. So seek the Father now. Leave behind the foolishness. If you're saying, yes, Lord, I want to fear you. Teach me how to fear. The second thing, you say, Lord, make me wise into salvation. Make me understand salvation. Make me understand what this means to follow you. Help me to understand that, everything I do is about eternity. It's not about here and now, but it's about forever. And then the third thing is, help me to leave behind this foolishness. Let me leave the pig pen behind, Lord. Help me to throw that stuff back there and get away from it. Then number 4, stop pointing out the flaws of others if you will not seek to be holy. Right? Stop doing that. Please, I'm begging you. Don't go online and do it. Don't go to your neighbor and say, hey, what is wrong with you? Why are you being such an idiot? Don't do that if you're not going to seek holiness yourself. If you're being two-faced, if you're playing games over here, you're not seeking wisdom. You're seeking, if your household is a mess, you don't have everything together, and you're just throwing around, slinging mud everywhere. Please don't do that. Please. Fear the Lord. Seek wisdom in the knowledge of salvation. Leave behind the foolishness. Maybe you're on point number 3. Leaving behind foolishness. Leave that behind. Get out of the pig pen before you tell people to stop playing in the mud, right? Stop doing it. Get yourself out of there first. Then you can tell those people, hey, you should be over here. Guess what? The Father's waiting back home. That's what you need to do. So stop pointing out the flaws of others if you won't seek it yourself. If you don't want to be holy, if you don't want to seek it out, you're just willing, if you're not willing to do the things that you're actually telling others to do, then stop doing that. Because that's not wisdom. That's foolishness. Right? Now you are the fool. Now you're playing the scoffer. Right? You're scoffing at other people. Look how stupid you are. And you're doing the same thing. Don't do that. And then finally, I want to close with this idea from George Lawson. He said, Solomon, examined with the eye of the prince of philosophers the objects of nature, but the knowledge of the most holy God was in his estimation. Why can't I say estimation? Was in his estimation true understanding. This kind of knowledge excels the others as much as the light of the sun, the glimmer of a glowworm. So he's saying here, Solomon was the prince of philosophers, right? He studied nature, right? And it says that he knew things about animals. He learned things about animals and botany and all that. His zoology was top notch. His botany studies were next level. But what did he extol his son? Like, hey, you should go study plants. Hey, you should go study animals. No, he says, study God. Know God. Seek his wisdom. That's what you should be seeking. Like, yeah, you can know these other things. That's fine. But ultimately, your main goal should be to seek the wisdom of God, because it excels all other things. All other studies, whatever you're going to do, whatever you're studying in school, whatever you're learning, whatever you're watching on TV, seeking the wisdom of God excels beyond that. It's like he says, it's like the light of the sun next to the glimmer of a glowworm. You ever seen a glowworm or like a lightning bug? It's like that next to the sun. Well, I can sit all day and look at that lightning bug, and it's not going to hurt my eyes. But if I look at the sun for just a minute or two, I may not see it again. That's the difference. And that's really what the idea here is. It's like night and day, right? And so we need to seek the Lord. Please, before we leave this section, seek the wisdom of the Lord. That's what you need to do. Now, next week, when we continue on in our study here, we're going to be looking at folly. Finally, we get the personification of folly. Like Solomon doesn't personify folly until the very end here, which is pretty funny. I think he could have used this before, but this is what he does. He doesn't want to talk about foolishness in this sense. He just really wants to hammer away on wisdom, which makes sense. Because wisdom is what you need. We're well versed in folly. We know folly, right? Folly's been our friend from the beginning, so we don't really need too much instruction on that. We got that. We're down with that, right? Folly's was our friend in the cradle, right? In our playpens. That's where we were hanging out with folly. So wisdom was a stranger for a long time, and for most of us, we didn't. Wisdom was not an intimate friend of ours, but hopefully now she is. So, all right, next time, that's what we're going to look at. Folly. Hopefully you learned something this week. Hopefully you're seeking wisdom. Please, that's what I'm asking. Just look it out. Just take a look. Read through Proverbs again. Move on to the next section. Go through chapter 10. Take a look at what those individual Proverbs have to say. And begin to meditate on those and think on those things, because we need those. We need that. And those hopefully will drive you. If you don't have the fear of the Lord, it will drive you to the fear of the Lord. If you do fear the Lord, then learn to live these things. Live these things out in your life. And see that God is true. Taste that he is good. And see that's true. It'll work. It's wisdom. All right. I'll see you next time.